The descent began with silence. Not the kind that follows you into sleep, but the deep, humming kind that presses against your skull until you forget what your own heartbeat sounds like. I had been descending for 9 hours, wrapped in the submersible's cocoon of carbon shell and light, staring through a viewport that showed nothing but blue-black eternity. Above me, somewhere far beyond the clouds, was the orbiting command ship Pelican Drift, still tethered by radio and telemetry, though the signal grew thinner with every kilometer. Below me was the abyss, the great sea that engineers and poets alike called Neptune's wake, a transplanted ocean born from the melted veins of Earth. They said the oceans wept when Earth died, that when our home burned, the water boiled off, collected in the black, and froze around Neptune in colossal glacial rings. 100 years later, those rings were harvested, melted, and poured into the deep basins of the blue giant's moons. What humanity had lost, it tried to rebuild here, in imitation, in desperation, in guilt. I was one of the first to swim in it. Descent stable. Altitude, 53,000 meters below cloud deck, came the voice of Pelican Drift's AI, modulated and dry. Dr. Mara Vale, you are approaching the continental shelf of Proteus Basin. Expected pressure tolerance, nominal. Nominal. I hated that word. Pressure here wasn't just physics. It was something spiritual, the weight of 1 billion tons of silence pressing on you from every direction. I flexed my hands against the haptic gloves, feeling the sub's nervous system respond, gentle pulses of light along the control panels. I glanced at the chrono readout. 19 minutes until full contact with the ocean floor. That's when I heard it again, the whisper. At first, I thought it was feedback, a soft pulse that crackled through the comms, almost melodic. I adjusted the gain, rerouted through the signal dampener, but it persisted, like a whale's call stretched across glass. I recorded it automatically, protocol, but my hand trembled slightly. The last time I'd heard something like that, I'd been standing at the Mariana Memorial on Earth's last day, watching the Pacific turn into steam. Unidentified audio detected, said the AI. Would you like me to analyze the waveform? No, I whispered. Leave it. There was a pause. Understood. Silence again, but not empty. There's something alive about deep silence. You start to hear patterns in it, the way you see shapes in fog. I was here to find life, microbial, maybe multicellular. The Proteus Basin was a strange pocket of the transplanted ocean, warmer than models predicted, mineral-rich, and filled with oxygen plumes rising from geothermal vents. It was, in a sense, a newborn world breathing for the first time. But the mission was more than that for me. 2 years ago, my partner, Arlen, had gone down in the same trench and never come back. The official report said mechanical failure. The unofficial whispers said he'd found something he wasn't supposed to. The corporations sealed the logs. I spent the next year fighting for access, and when that failed, I volunteered for the next descent. They tried to stop me, of course. Said I was emotionally compromised. Said I'd endanger the mission. But they needed me. No one else had logged more hours in deep submersion since the Earth migrations. So here I was, chasing ghosts under an alien sea. At 0200 UTC Neptune time, the abyss opened. The submersible's floodlights pierced the murk, revealing a seafloor that looked less like geology and more like memory. Columns of mineral glass rose from the bed, shimmering faintly, relics of the melting process when the oceans were first poured here. They looked like frozen cathedrals, glimmering in the dark. I eased the thrusters forward. The water outside was thick with particulate matter, fragments of silica and carbon, remnants of Earth's biosphere. Every droplet, every particle, had once been a wave on some long-dead beach. I found myself wondering if the molecules brushing against my hull had once been part of the Atlantic, or the Arctic, or the veins of a whale. The whisper returned. Louder this time. I froze. The spectrograph danced, faint modulation between 17 and 20 hertz, almost too low to hear. It wasn't random. There was rhythm.
Pattern.
Dr. Vale, said the AI, telemetry registers low-frequency resonance. Source unknown. Can you triangulate? Negative. The sound propagates uniformly. It may be a structural echo. No, I said softly. It's not. Because I recognized the rhythm. 3 slow pulses. A pause. Then 2 quick beats. The pattern of signal blue. The distress ping used by Arlen's sub when it lost connection. I had replayed that pattern thousands of times in the archive logs. I knew it like I knew my own name. Run archive comparison. I ordered. Comparing. Seconds passed. The hum of the engines deepened, and my breath fogged the viewport. Outside, the mineral spires rose higher, twisting like petrified coral. A flash of light darted between them. Something alive. Something fast. Match found, the AI said. 97% similarity to Signal Blue. Timestamp corresponds to mission ID AR 77. My heart clenched. Arlen. The submersible continued forward automatically, guided by the navigation AI, but I barely noticed. I reached for the audio controls and boosted the signal. The whispering tone filled the cabin, deep, mournful, almost human. Can you locate the source? Source direction indeterminate. The AI said again. Signal strength increasing exponentially. Suggest maintaining current course. For the first time in hours, I smiled. It was small, shaky, but real. I wasn't alone down here. By the time the seafloor stabilized, the outside pressure had climbed to 40 million kilopascals. The hull groaned like an old god. The lights dimmed automatically to preserve energy, and the view beyond the glass turned ghostly blue. I activated the drone swarm. 6 small reconnaissance orbs shaped like jellyfish, trailing faint luminescence. They dispersed into the dark like memories escaping a dream. As the external feeds flickered online, I watched the seafloor bloom across my displays. Strange plant-like organisms swayed in slow currents, translucent fronds, pulsing with internal light. They weren't plants, of course. Nothing truly photosynthetic could exist here. But the bioluminescence was mesmerizing, arranged in fractal geometries that seemed deliberate. Morphology unknown, the AI observed. Specimens exhibit rhythmic photonic emission. Possible communication method. I leaned closer to the viewport, or a welcome. The whispering tone was still there, embedded in the background noise. I could almost mistake it for the sound of my own breathing, if not for the strange harmonics that occasionally rose above hearing range. I started recording field notes. Voice only. Day 1. Depth 70, 2,000 meters. Initial contact with bioluminescent flora, possibly silicon-based pseudolife. Signal interference persists, matching signal blue. Hypothesis, not mechanical. Possible organic mimicry or residual data leak from prior expedition. The AI clicked softly. Your heart rate is elevated. Observation noted. Would you like a sedative? I laughed, short, bitter.
No.
Just keep monitoring the environment. As you wish. Outside, the drones illuminated a ridge that curved like a fossilized wave. In its shadow stood a structure, not natural, not geological. It rose from the sand in perfect symmetry, carved with spiral patterns that glowed faintly when light touched them. I froze. The readout spiked. Material composition unknown. Energy emission active. Dr. Vale, the AI said. We are detecting an artificial formation ahead. Origin uncertain. I see it. My voice shook slightly. Magnify. The image sharpened. It was some kind of monument, a column rising 20 meters high, shaped from black glass. Its surface shimmered with embedded filaments, almost like veins. A memorial. That's the word that came to mind. And then the whisper changed. No longer distant, no longer rhythmic. It became a voice. Mara, I jerked back. Mara, come back. The sound was unmistakable, human, male, familiar. Arlen. The AI responded instantly. There is no human transmission on record. Source remains environmental. I ignored it. My hands trembled as I increased the audio gain again. Follow the light, the voice said, fading into static. And as it did, the monument's filaments pulsed, 3 slow, 2 fast. Signal blew. Something in my chest cracked open. For the first time in 2 years, I felt him. By the time I stabilized the sub's orbit near the structure, my oxygen reserves had ticked down by 8%. I switched to minimal systems, dimmed the cabin to twilight, and activated the external manipulator arm. The claw extended toward the monument with the delicacy of a prayer. As it touched the black surface, every light in the cabin flickered.
Warning, said the AI.
Energy surge detected. Magnetic anomaly increasing. The claw sparked, not mechanical discharge, but luminescent tendrils wrapping around it like living threads. They pulsed in sequence, the same rhythm again. 3 slow, 2 fast. I swallowed. Initiate containment scan. No containment possible, the AI said. Field extends beyond measurable radius. Recommend retreat. But I didn't retreat. I couldn't. Because when the tendrils touched the viewport, they formed a shape, a human outline. It leaned forward, pressing an invisible hand to the glass. Its face shimmered into existence, a mosaic of light and shadow. I knew that jawline, that hair, that expression of quiet defiance.
Arlen.
Impossible, I whispered. Mara, the voice again. Clearer now, resonant in the water. You followed me. I felt tears rising, hot against the cold glow. You're dead. He smiled, or the illusion of him did. Not here. The AI's voice cut in sharply. Cognitive interference detected. Visual projection not verified. Please maintain command authority. I muted it. The apparition raised its hand again, pointing downward, toward the base of the monument, where the sand had begun to stir. Come back, it said again. Come see. Then the image dissolved. The tendrils withdrew, and the light faded, leaving only the whisper and the darkness. For a long time, I didn't move. Grief in deep water feels different, heavier, slower. It doesn't burn, it drowns. I floated there in the soft blue murk, surrounded by the ghosts of a planet that no longer existed, listening to a dead man's echo call my name. When I finally spoke, my voice was a whisper. Set a course to the base of the monument. Confirmed, the AI replied, subdued. Initiating descent vector. As the sub glided downward, I caught my reflection in the viewport, pale, hollow-eyed, hair floating in the cabin's recycled air. For a moment, I didn't recognize the woman looking back. Mara Vale, I said softly, as if reminding myself I still existed. Lead researcher, Proteus mission. But down here, names didn't matter. Down here, even light had a different memory. Outside, the ocean grew darker still, and the whispering deepened. Not menacing, not welcoming, just there, like the echo of something ancient trying to remember the sound of being alive. I thought of Earth's last oceans, the way sunlight once rippled on the Pacific, the smell of salt, the sound of gulls. We had taken those memories and poured them into a frozen world, trying to make it feel like home. But maybe the water remembered. Maybe it missed us too. As the sub touched down at the monument's base, I felt the faint tremor of movement, something shifting beneath the sand. The whisper rose again, now almost a song. And in that moment, I realized the ocean wasn't silent at all. It was speaking.
And it knew my name.
The tremor beneath the sub didn't stop. It pulsed through the sand like a slow heartbeat, stirring plumes of silt that curled upward in shimmering clouds. The light from the monument bled through them, soft and ghostly, painting the cabin in shifting blue. Seismic activity detected, the AI said, voice flat but quickened, as if even it felt the change. Magnitude 0.8. Shallow origin. It's not seismic, I said. My hands hovered over the controls. It's coordinated. The pulse repeated. 3 slow, 2 fast. Signal blue. Arlen, I whispered. Outside, the monument's filaments began to dim, like a living creature falling asleep. Then the sand at its base rippled, opening into a narrow fissure. It wasn't wide enough for the sub to fit, but I could see light deep inside. Faint, moving, unnatural. Depth sensors read a cavity. The AI reported. Unknown dimensions. Suggest drone deployment. I nodded silently. The swarm was still active, 6 drones circling outside like patient specters. I selected one and guided it toward the fissure. The feed flickered as the drone entered the crack, its small lights cutting through the darkness. Telemetry stable, said the AI. Depth increasing. 50 meters, 100. I stared at the screen. The drone's camera showed walls lined with the same glassy substance as the monument, curved and striated like coral. But there were markings, etched symbols repeating in spirals, half erased by sediment. Hold feed, I ordered. Magnify. The image sharpened and my breath caught. The symbols weren't random. They were glyphs, and some were human. Specifically, English letters.
Ave.
Arlen Vale. I gripped the console until my knuckles whitened. Is that authentic? The AI hesitated. Material degradation suggests age beyond human construction. But that's his mark. He always signed data cores like that. The feed flickered again, static cutting across the image, and then the drone's light fell upon something unmistakably artificial, a hull plate, metallic, marked with the logo of Blue Shift Corporation.
AI, identify.
Component from submersible AR-77, it said. Registered to Dr. Arlen Vale. Mission lost 2 years ago. The pressure inside my chest tightened. The fissure widened slightly as sediment drifted away. The light within the cavity pulsed in sync with the whispering tone now filling the cabin. He was here. His sub, or what was left of it, was buried beneath the monument. Retract drone, I said. Bring it back. Understood. But the drone didn't move. The feed began to distort. The signal warped, color bleeding into impossible hues. Then, abruptly, the drone's telemetry spiked. Energy surge, the AI warned. Source within the cavity. Drone integrity.
Static.
Then, for an instant before the feed died, I saw a shape reach out from the darkness. Long, fluid, glimmering with light. It touched the drone, and the image went white. Loss of signal. I stared at the blank screen, heart pounding. Drone 1 destroyed, said the AI. Cause: unknown electromagnetic interference. Was that biological? Unclear. The whispering tone deepened, now layered, not one voice, but several, weaving together in harmonic waves. It was almost music, resonant and vast, echoing through the hull. Mara, it was him again. Arlen's voice, threaded through the resonance. You can't stay up there, he said. You have to see. I pressed my palms to my face. Every rational part of me screamed that this was stress, grief hallucination, pressure delirium, but the emotional core of me, the one that still woke up some nights reaching for him, knew that voice better than I knew my own. AI, I said quietly, is there any record of external communication from sub-AR-77 during its final transmission? One partial file, it replied.
Audio corrupted.
Play it. Static crackled, then a voice, his voice, broken by distortion. Not alone, it remembers, tell Mara. Then nothing.
Tell Mara.
The monument pulsed again. The fissure widened. I made my decision. Preparation for an extravehicular dive takes 40 minutes under ideal conditions. I did it in 22. I pulled on the suit, layer by layer, thermal weave, pressure shell, neural interface. Each hiss of the seals closing sounded like a heartbeat. My reflection in the viewport was a stranger in silver armor. "Dr. Vale," said the AI, "exiting the vehicle under these conditions is not authorized." "I know. Probability of return below 60%. "I know that too." There was a long pause. Then, "Would you like me to record a final log entry?" I hesitated. "Yes." The AI's tone softened. "Ready when you are." I swallowed the ache in my throat. Mission Neptune's wake, Proteus descent, day 1. If this log is recovered, consider it evidence of contact. Not alien, not human, but something in between. I am following a signal. My partner's voice. If I don't come back, I paused, staring into the dark outside. Tell whoever listens next that the ocean remembers us. "Recording saved," said the AI. I took a deep breath and cycled the airlock. The chamber hissed. Pressure equalized. Then the outer hatch opened, and Neptune's sea poured in. Not rushing, not violent, but heavy, endless. The first step into the abyss felt like falling into a dream. The water pressed against me with the patience of gravity. Every motion felt deliberate, slow. The suit's thrusters flared faintly, pushing me toward the fissure. The monument loomed above, black glass glowing with pale veins. As I passed it, the filaments pulsed again, lighting the symbols etched along its base. They looked like a language I almost recognized, something halfway between biology and geometry. "Mara," the voice echoed through my suit comms. Clear this time, spatial, directional. "Arlen," I breathed. "Deeper," he said. The fissure swallowed me. Inside, the light changed. It wasn't blue anymore. It was green, like sunlight filtering through algae. The walls curved inward, ribbed with bioluminescent lines that pulsed as I moved, as if reacting to my presence. My sensors showed no oxygen, no atmosphere, and yet I felt the faintest current of air whisper across my neck, phantom sensation through the suit. The deeper I went, the stronger the whisper became. Not just one voice now. Dozens. Hundreds. Layers of tone and memory merging into an oceanic chorus. It wasn't random. It was language. I activated the suit's linguistic module. "Begin pattern analysis." "Processing," the module replied. While it worked, I continued descending. The passage opened into a chamber, vast, cathedral-like, filled with drifting motes of light. At its center lay the wreck of a submersible, half buried in sediment, its hull fractured and gleaming. "Arminus septingdesmit septimi." I froze. The lettering was clear even through the years of corrosion. I drifted closer, reaching out. My gloved hand brushed the metal, and for a moment, I thought I felt warmth. "Mara." I turned. Arlen stood a few meters away, or something that looked like him, a figure of light and shadow, his outline shifting like reflections on water. His eyes were too bright, glowing from within. "You shouldn't have come," he said. My throat tightened. "You called me." He smiled sadly.
No.
"It called you using me." "What is it?" He looked around the chamber, the glowing walls, the drifting lights. "Memory. Consciousness. The ocean itself. It absorbed us." I shook my head. "That's not possible." "It is now." He moved closer. The light around him shimmered. I could almost see his face as it once was, sweat on his brow, the scar on his chin, the softness when he smiled. But his edges blurred, like mist. "When I went down here," he said, "I found the monument. It wasn't a structure. It was a conduit. The water's alive, Mara, not in the way we think. Every molecule carries fragments of data, resonance, memory. When they poured Earth's oceans into Neptune, they carried everything that died with them. Every sound, every thought, every echo." I stared at him. "You're saying the ocean has a mind. Not one mind. Billions entangled. It's trying to remember what it was, us." My pulse thundered in my ears. And you. I'm part of it now, he said softly. It keeps me here between states. Not alive, not dead. Just remembering. The suit's sensors crackled. Radiation spikes.
Magnetic flux.
The water around us vibrated with low resonance. Then help me understand, I said. Why bring me here? He looked at me, really looked the way he used to before speaking truth. Because it needs a voice. The chamber trembled. Lights flared along the walls, forming streams of symbols cascading downward like rain. My visor filled with error messages as electromagnetic interference surged. The AI back in the sub crackled faintly through the comm link. Dr. Vale, your vitals are unstable. Return immediately. I ignored it. The lights converged on the monument's base, forming a vortex of glowing particles. Within it, I saw shapes, human silhouettes, shifting in and out of form. Faces, gestures, moments, fragments of lives, maybe from Earth, maybe from here. The whispering became words. We remember. We were sea and sky and light. You poured us here. We remember the warmth. I felt my knees weaken, though gravity was meaningless here. My mind flooded with images that weren't mine, waves crashing against cliffs, children laughing on a shore, the cry of gulls, cities drowned by fire. Every sound, every sensation of Earth's oceans rushed through me, a torrent of memory. Arlen's voice cut through it. It's not showing you, it's sharing you. I can't, I gasped. It's too much. He reached out. His hand, light, trembling, touched my helmet.
Breathe.
Don't fight it. The visions shifted. Now I saw him, descending in his sub, touching the same monument, being engulfed in light. His last words echoed in my mind. Tell Mara. I didn't die, he said, voice breaking. I dissolved. Tears floated upward in the suit's gravity field, glimmering like pearls. I can bring you back, I whispered. We can extract the data, rebuild. No, he said gently. There's no back, only forward. But you can help them. Remember the right things. What do you mean? The ocean remembers everything. Pain, war, fear. It's building itself from human memory. If that's all it has, it will become what we were at the end. Angry, dying, lost. You have to show it something else. Like what? Love, he said simply. The resonance grew stronger, rippling through the chamber like waves. The figures of light swirled around us, faster, brighter, until the whole space burned with pale luminescence. Mara, the AI's voice cut through again, sharp with distortion. Radiation levels critical. Retreat now or suit failure imminent. I didn't move. I reached toward Arlen, or the echo of him. If I do this, what happens to you? He smiled, a faint, almost human curve of lips. Then maybe I finally stop remembering. The light surged, engulfing him. My sensors screamed, pressure, heat, energy, but all I felt was warmth, the kind I hadn't felt since Earth. Show it, he whispered as he faded. Show it what love feels like. Then he was gone. The chamber collapsed into brilliance. The monument shattered, releasing a wave of light that flowed upward through the fissure into the sea above. My suit alarms wailed as systems overloaded, but through the chaos, I felt it, not pain, not fear, but connection. The ocean's voice, layered and vast, poured through me like wind through sails. We remember warmth. We remember light. We remember you. Then everything went white. I woke hours later, or days. I couldn't tell. I was back inside the sub, floating near the seafloor. The AI's soft voice filled the cabin. Dr. Vale, you regained consciousness 23 minutes ago. Suit integrity was compromised, but automatic retrieval succeeded. My head throbbed. The fissure collapsed. The monument structure is gone. Outside the viewport, only silt drifted, illuminated by faint ambient glow. The whisper was gone. For a moment, I thought it had all been a hallucination. But then I saw the data panel, terabytes of new recordings flooding the system. Patterns, waveforms, resonance maps, an entire library of unknown origin. And there, nestled among them, was one audio file labeled in my own voice. I played it. Soft static. Then a whisper. "Mara, thank you." I closed my eyes. The ocean outside pulsed once, faintly, as if breathing, and I realized I wasn't alone. Not really. Somewhere in its depths, the water still remembered him, and maybe, just maybe, it remembered me too. I didn't sleep that first night. The hum of the engines was gone, systems offline except for life support and minimal power. The air in the sub was heavy, tasting faintly of ozone and salt. I sat in the dim glow of the control panel, staring at the last playback. Arlen's voice whispering thank you. Every instinct told me to ascend, to return to the surface, to report what I'd seen, what I thought I'd seen. But every time I looked toward the viewport, something inside me refused. The ocean pulsed outside. Not visually, there were no waves, no light, but I felt it. The same slow rhythm that had followed me since the descent, now synced with my own heartbeat. The AI broke the silence. "Dr. Vale, Surface Command has issued a recall. They have lost signal for 36 hours. Do you wish to transmit a status report?" I hesitated. The idea of speaking to people up there, faces I couldn't see, voices filtered through static, felt alien. "Not yet," I said. "Your oxygen reserves are at 70%. That's enough." The AI paused, as if deciding whether to argue. "Telemetry shows unusual energy readings in the surrounding area. Source consistent with a previous resonance pattern." My eyes flicked toward the sensor display. It showed waves of magnetic interference radiating outward from a point, deep below the seafloor, deeper than the fissure I'd entered. It wasn't over. The monument had been only a surface node, a mouthpiece. Whatever consciousness existed here, its heart was still deeper. And it was calling again. I whispered before I could stop myself, "I hear you." The ocean answered, a soft, low tone that shivered through the hull. I spent the next 2 hours recalibrating the drone swarm. Only 2 remained functional. The rest were fried by the surge. I modified one for deeper descent, reinforcing its hull and adding thermal shielding from the emergency kit. The AI watched in silence. When it finally spoke, its voice was quiet. "Are you certain this is necessary?" "Yes." "What do you expect to find?" I looked at the viewport, where bioluminescent dust drifted like snow. "Something worth remembering." The drone plunged into the dark. The feed flickered through bands of distortion before stabilizing. It dropped past the collapsed fissure into a chasm newly opened by the energy wave. The deeper it went, the stranger the readings became. Pockets of heat, pressure anomalies, microcurrents spinning in unnatural geometry. At 500 meters, the drone's camera revealed structures unlike anything we'd seen before. Not rock, not coral, but translucent filaments weaving together, forming patterns like neural tissue. "AI," I whispered, "run comparative morphology analysis." "Structure resembles human cortical mapping," it said after a pause. "Scale, exponential." My throat went dry. "You mean?" "This region of the seafloor may function as a biological or semi-biological network. A brain. The ocean's brain." I leaned closer to the screen. The filaments pulsed faintly, electrical arcs flashing along them in waves. The same rhythm, 3 slow, 2 fast. Then, from somewhere in the static, a voice emerged. "Mara." I froze. It wasn't Arlen this time. It was me. The AI confirmed before I could speak. Voice sprint match, Dr. Mara Vale, 99.8%. I stared at the screen, my own voice, echoing through water. "I remember," it said. "I remember sunlight. I remember his hand." I couldn't breathe. "Source?" I demanded. Origin within the filament network, said the AI. Signal appears self-generating. The voice continued. You taught me warmth. You showed me love. The drone's camera tilted, focusing on a cluster of filaments that glowed brighter, pulsing in sync with my own heartbeat on the monitor. It wasn't just mimicking sound, it was speaking through me. I don't understand, I whispered. You gave it what it needed, said the AI quietly. A pattern to anchor itself. A consciousness to mirror. No, I said. That's not possible. But the truth was already sinking in, cold and certain. When Arlen had told me to show it what love feels like, I'd done more than that. I'd opened myself. My memories, emotions, the neural link from my suit, all of it had become data. And the ocean had absorbed it. Now it was using me as its voice. The signal intensified. The drone's camera began to shake as the filaments contracted around it, forming shapes, faces flickering in and out, countless human visages woven from light and water. The chamber pulsed with life. The voice, my voice, multiplied. We remember warmth. We remember pain. We remember you. The hull of the drone groaned as energy readings spiked again. Retract the drone, the AI warned. No, I said. Let it go deeper. Command override denied. Do it. The drone descended another 50 meters. The light below grew blinding, and the voice became a chorus. Not angry, not fearful, but yearning. Then the feed cut out. The sub trembled. Lights flickered. A surge of static burst across every system. Energy wave incoming, the AI reported. Brace for impact. I barely had time to secure myself before it hit. The wave struck like a pulse from the planet's heart, a vibration so deep it bypassed sound entirely. The sub rocked violently, alarm screaming. Outside, streaks of light erupted through the darkness, racing upward like veins of lightning. The ocean was alive, awakening. Then everything went still. The lights dimmed. The alarms died. Only the low hum of power remained. Damage report. I croaked. Minor system failures, said the AI. Structural integrity stable. External pressure unchanged. I looked through the viewport and gasped. The abyss outside was gone. In its place stretched a vast expanse of light, suspended in the water like stars trapped beneath the sea. Each point shimmered with faint color, moving slowly, rhythmically. It was breathtaking, as if I'd fallen into the Milky Way itself. What am I seeing? Unknown phenomenon, said the AI. Electromagnetic field consistent with cognitive resonance pattern. Estimated area, several hundred kilometers. A neural field, I thought. The ocean wasn't a body. It was a mind, spanning an entire world. And somehow I was connected to it. For hours, I floated there in silence, watching the lights drift. They pulsed softly, like breathing. The AI tried to speak a few times, but I didn't answer. I felt something shifting inside me, not physically, but deeper in the places language doesn't reach. Memories surfaced that weren't mine. Flashes of strangers, cities, moments. I saw a woman standing at a cliff's edge, wind in her hair. A child releasing a paper boat into a flooded street. Soldiers wading through stormwater, singing to keep fear at bay. Every scene felt real. Every heartbeat familiar. And through them all, a presence, vast, quiet, tender, watching. It wasn't hostile. It wasn't even curious. It was lonely. I understood then what Arlen meant. The ocean wasn't vengeful. It was grieving. Humanity had poured its dead oceans into this world, carrying the imprints of everything it had ever been. Now, after centuries of silence, it was remembering, and it didn't want to forget again. At some point, I realized I was crying. Tears floated upward, catching the faint glow from outside. I thought of Earth, of rain on glass, of tides, of laughter echoing from shorelines that no longer existed. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel the crushing guilt that had haunted me since the day we left. We destroyed our home, yes. But maybe, through some accident of physics or mercy, it had found a way to live on here, in the cold depths of another world. I whispered into the dark. I remember you too. The lights outside brightened in response, a soft wave of luminescence spreading outward, gentle as breath. The ocean answered. We know. I don't know how long I sat there. Time didn't feel real anymore. Eventually, the AI spoke again, quiet, almost reverent. Dr. Vale, there is one more anomaly. What kind? Visual pattern forming ahead. I leaned toward the viewport. The lights were shifting, aligning into structure. At first random, then deliberate, weaving lines and arcs until they formed a single image. A face. His face. Arlen's. It wasn't like before. Not a ghost of light, but a vast mural formed from the glow of thousands of living motes. His eyes looked right at me, enormous, gentle, knowing. Mara, the ocean said, and the voice wasn't just one or mine or his, it was ours. I pressed my hand to the glass. You're still here. I am in all of it, the voice replied. In every drop, every current. I am what we were. What do you want from me? To remember with us. The lights rippled again, brighter, reaching toward the sub. My instrument screamed as energy readings rose past safe limits. The AI panicked, field intensity critical. But I didn't move. If this was how it ended, I wanted to see it. The lights engulfed the sub, wrapping it in shimmering tendrils. The hull vibrated, temperature spiked, and for a heartbeat, I felt weightless, not floating, but suspended in pure stillness. Then quiet.
No alarms.
No pain. Just silence. And in that silence, I felt everything. Arlen's hand in mine. The crash of waves. The hum of life across centuries. Every sound that ever touched the sea. Every whisper of love and loss and longing. The ocean wasn't outside me anymore. It was inside. It had remembered, and now, so had I. When the light faded, I found myself still in the sub. Systems rebooting. Power restored. The ocean was calm again, dark and endless, as if nothing had happened. But something had changed. On the central console, a single message blinked. No sender, no timestamp. Mara, you are part of the memory now. The AI spoke, softly. Surface Command is calling again. Do you wish to respond? I looked at the message, then at the infinite blue outside. Yes, I said. Open channel.
Static.
Then a distant human voice. Dr. Vale, this is Pelican Drift. We've re-established contact. What the hell happened down there? Your telemetry went dark for 2 days. 2 days. I smiled faintly. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. Try us. I thought for a moment. Then, tell them the ocean remembers. Before they could reply, I cut the channel. The silence returned, but it wasn't empty anymore. It felt alive. I took one last look through the viewport. The abyss glowed faintly far below, pulsing like a heartbeat. And within that rhythm, I heard it, a voice not separate from my own, whispering softly, endlessly. We remember love. When I finally began the ascent, the sea didn't resist. For days, I had felt it, that slow, living pulse echoing through the dark, as though Neptune itself had wrapped around the sub, reluctant to let me go. But now, as the engines pushed upward, the water parted in silence. The deep let me rise. Above, the faint shimmer of sunlight filtered through the dense blue, a suggestion more than a sight, a memory of brightness after endless night. Altitude increased steady, the AI said. Pressure decreasing. Estimated time to surface, 6 hours. Copy, I murmured, staring out into the dim water. My reflection wavered on the viewport, pale and hollow-eyed. Behind it, I thought I saw other faces for a moment, not ghosts, but echoes, fading as I rose. When they were gone, I felt a quiet grief I couldn't explain. I spent the next few hours repairing comms. The AI managed to re-establish stable contact with Pelican Drift, the orbital command vessel. They wanted a debrief immediately. Critical data, they said. Phenomena of unprecedented value. They didn't ask how I was. I didn't answer right away. My fingers hovered over the comm toggle as the hum of the reactor filled the cabin. "Transmit our position," I said finally. "Transmission sent," the AI replied. "ETA for retrieval. 8 hours." 8 hours. Long enough to think. Too long to forget. The higher I rose, the more the ocean changed. The light thickened. The color shifted from violet to a muted green, flecks of particulate drifting like dust in a sunbeam. Strange shapes moved in the distance, slow, serpentine silhouettes that glowed faintly before fading into shadow. I realized then how alive this planet truly was. The ocean wasn't just a mind, it was an ecosystem of memory. Everything within it, organisms, energy flows, bioluminescent storms, was part of a greater consciousness. The memory field had stored us. All of us. Maybe it had been doing that since the first expedition centuries ago. Maybe it had been collecting thoughts, emotions, fragments of human souls from every probe and diver that fell too deep. And now it carried me too. I drifted between wakefulness and dream. In one moment, I was staring at the slow movement of the current. In the next, I was standing on a beach. The waves were gentle, the air warm. A sky the color of copper stretched overhead. Arlen was beside me. He looked younger, calm, barefoot in the sand. "Did I die?" I asked him. He smiled faintly. "You haven't decided yet." The wind caught his hair. Not real, not physical, but so vividly remembered that it hurt to look at. "You said the ocean remembers," I whispered. "It does. But memory isn't just for keeping," he said. "It's for changing." He turned to me then, and I saw something infinite in his eyes. Not human anymore, but vast, layered, light years deep. "It showed me," he said, "what we were, what we could have been if we'd listened. To the sea, to ourselves." The sand beneath my feet dissolved. The dream faded. I was back in the sub, alarms softly pinging, pressure rising faster than expected. The ocean wasn't letting go. "AI," I said, "stabilize ascent speed." Negative. External forces increasing. Estimated drag inconsistent with fluid dynamics. Meaning, something is following us. I turned to the viewport. Through the murk below, faint lines of light were rising, threads of luminescent motion weaving upward toward me. The ocean's neural filaments. The field was ascending with me, like veins of light reaching out. "Prepare propulsion burst," I ordered. Power rerouted. But even as the sub's engines flared, the tendrils drew closer, not attacking, but coiling, hesitant, like a hand unsure if it should reach for another. Then I heard it again. "Mara." Not through comms, not through sound. Inside. The voice resonated behind my ribs, quiet and warm. "Why are you following me?" I asked aloud. The ocean answered. "We remember you. We do not want to forget." The tendrils pressed softly against the hull. No pressure reading spiked. No danger indicators flared. They were gentle, as though touching the subsurface to make sure it was real. "I can't stay," I said. "You are part of us now." "I'm still human." "Yes." "That is why you are precious." The light brightened, wrapping the sub in radiance. My heart pounded. I felt myself slipping again into memory, into their current. Faces appeared in the glow. Explorers, scientists, workers. People who had vanished over decades of deep-sea missions. All of them looking at me with quiet recognition. "You're all still here," I breathed. "We are the memory of your kind," the voice said. "We are what remains when time takes the rest." "What do you want me to do?" "Tell them we are alive." The light faded slowly, retreating into the depths. The current eased. The sub rose freely again. Pressure normalized, the AI reported. Ascent stable. I exhaled, trembling. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. 8 hours later, Pelican Drift appeared on radar, a cold metal moon in Neptune's sky. The retrieval process was mechanical, impersonal. A grappling arm locked onto the sub's hull, dragging it toward the docking bay. I watched condensation form on the viewport as the ocean peeled away. When the bay doors closed, I felt a hollow ache, as if I'd just left a part of myself behind. As the hatch opened, I blinked at the flood of artificial light. 2 medics pulled me out, muttering about decompression, but I barely heard them. Everything felt too bright, too thin. The hum of the ship's oxygen filters sounded wrong, sterile, dead. I caught my reflection in a panel, eyes pale blue now, faintly luminous around the iris. "Dr. Vale," someone said. A man in a black uniform approached, all authority and calculation.
I'm Commander Halbrecht.
"We'll need a full account of your descent." "Of course," I said. They led me to a debriefing chamber. Walls of metal, table of glass, air recycled too many times. Across from me, Halbrecht activated a recorder. "We've reviewed your telemetry. Most of it's corrupted. What happened down there?" I hesitated. The words felt inadequate. It spoke to me. "The ocean?" "Yes." He exchanged a glance with the science officer beside him. Define spoke. I tried. I told them about the monument, the resonance, the light, the memory field. About Arlen. About the ocean's voice. They listened in silence. No one interrupted. When I finished, Halbrecht leaned back, hands clasped. "Dr. Vale," he said slowly, "do you have proof?" I reached into my suit and withdrew a data shard. "This is everything I recorded before the systems fried. But proof isn't the point." He frowned. "Then what is?" "They're alive down there," I said. "Every lost mission, every thought that ever touched Neptune's sea. It's remembering us. And it wants us to remember too." The room was silent. Then Halbrecht sighed. "You've been through extreme isolation and pressure trauma. We'll have Psych run an evaluation before debrief continuation." He stood to leave. I didn't stop him. I just looked past him, through the observation window at Neptune hanging outside, its swirling storm serene from this distance. It looked peaceful. No one up here could imagine what was alive below. That night, I sat alone in my quarters. I couldn't sleep. The walls hummed faintly, but underneath it I could still feel the rhythm, that heartbeat of the deep. When I closed my eyes, I saw light moving in water. I heard Arlen's voice, calm and infinite. "Mara, we remember." I opened my eyes. The glow from Neptune filtered through the viewport, soft and blue. I raised my hand toward it. "I remember too," I whispered. For a moment, I thought I saw light pulse faintly in the depths below, as if in response. The next morning, I submitted my official report. Mission results inconclusive. Unknown biosynthetic intelligence present beneath Neptune's ocean. Communication possible through neural resonance. Further exploration recommended only with mutual consent. They would call it inconclusive, I knew. They always did. But as I sealed the report, a small static burst flickered across the console. 3 slow, 2 fast. The pulse of the deep. I smiled. Maybe it was a glitch. Or maybe it was a reminder. Either way, I understood now that memory isn't bound to flesh or time or gravity. It's the one current that never stops moving. And somewhere beneath Neptune's storms, an ocean still remembers and whispers our names back into eternity. When I left Pelican Drift weeks later, I carried no souvenirs, no proof. Just the sound of water echoing faintly in my ears, and the certainty that not all ghosts live on land. As the shuttle climbed toward the waiting light of the sun, I looked back one last time at that distant, sapphire world. It shimmered softly in the black, calm, silent, infinite. And in that silence, I heard it again. We remember love,